Saving your voice. Let's talk about that. Do you try to save your voice before a big performance as a way to make sure that you get through the whole performance without getting vocally fatigued or without losing your voice towards the end? Well, I'm Katti Power, if you don't know me, and I'm a vocal health expert, I'm a performance coach, I'm a speaker, and I'm an author and the founder of Total Vocal Health System. I have spent the past 20 plus years helping performers achieve amazing goals that they set for themselves, all without ever losing their voices. Saving your voice. Let's talk about that. It's actually more damaging to save your voice than it is helpful. You also might be wondering why I keep doing this when I say save your voice. I'll tell you that in a second, but I like to give the example of Celine Dion. So Celine, we all know her as a super powerhouse singer, right? And she is as amazing as she is and as correct as her vocal technique tends to be, she is one of the biggest followers of this big myth that saving your voice before a performance is the way to achieve endurance during the performance so that you can get through your show. So that's right, Celine, you are actually creating more problems by spending your show days on vocal rest than you would be by having a normal life and using your voice during the day. And I get it. It seems logical that if you're going to perform big, huge vocals, that you might want to sort of save your voice so that you can have it ready to tackle those big notes later on. Here's the thing. First of all, your voice can't be saved. That's why I keep doing that. It's not a thing. The only time that vocal rest is necessary is when you're already fatigued. So after you've done something to your voice that has damaged it, that is when you go on vocal rest. Doing it beforehand does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. Vocal rest is not meant to prevent voice loss. It's meant to heal you from voice loss. And a lot of singers try to save their voice from being blown out before they perform. So here's what I'll say to that. If you're blowing out your voice when you perform, then that is a sign that something is off with your technique. It's not just a normal thing to expect. That's something that can be corrected. Something is off with your technique if you're blowing your voice from singing. That can be corrected. It's not a sign that you need to try and preserve it for later, which is a mistake a lot of people make. It's a myth that a lot of people believe. But more importantly than even that, when you put yourself on total vocal rest in anticipation of singing full out for a few hours at the end of your day, what you're doing is creating a huge potential for vocal damage. Isn't that interesting? So a lot of times people will do this thinking, I'm going to save my voice so that when I go and perform and sing all those big notes, that I'm preventing myself from voice loss. But the problem is when you do it, you're actually creating the potential to have vocal damage. And here's why. How many of you do some kind of vocal warm-up, right? You have a coach that gives you some kind of vocal exercises to do, right? There's a reason that they ask you to do those. It's because our bodies and our voices do not know how to react from going from zero to full out. We don't know how to go from zero to a full out performance. And that's what happens when you put yourself on vocal rest all day long and then you go have a big, huge performance. You're going to put yourself at huge risk for damage because you're not giving yourself a time to warm. Whereas instead, if you had spent the entire day actually using your voice, by the time it comes to your evening performance, you may not even need to do a vocal warm-up. Using your voice during the day of a performance is way better than not. It's a major shock to your system, and it's not adding anything to your endurance or to your vocals to remain completely silent for the day. Even if you do the major vocal warm-up later, it's not adding anything by going on vocal rest. There is absolutely no need for it. It's making it that much harder for you to be warm enough to sing when it comes time to sing. And even just throwing this out there, even if you are in a vocal health situation where you need to go on vocal rest, the recommendation is to make some sound every few hours anyway, because you don't want to do that to your voice. It's not good to be on complete silence, total vocal rest. It's not good for it. And here's another example. In the world of dance, I love comparing singing to dance because there's some really great parallels. So do you ever see a ballet dancer who rests her body the entire day when she has some kind of dance performance or a show, concert at night? No, not at all. She's most of the time going to be dressed. I always think the dancers look homeless because they wear all these layers of clothes that don't match. So, you see them with their leg warmers and their layers they're keeping their body and their muscles warm. That's the same thing as doing those vocal exercises, using your voice, keeping it warm. They're not keeping it like frozen all day long and then dancing, because they're going to pull muscles if they do that. The same is true with your voice. When you make it completely inactive all day and then all of a sudden you are like powerhousing it at the end of the day, you are creating a situation for problem. So no, ballet dancers are going to wear their leg warmers. They're going to do their stretches periodically throughout the day. They're going to do a full physical warm-up before they go out there. Just the same as singers, right? Use your voice throughout the day, because then when it comes time for your performance, if you choose to do a vocal warm-up, your voice is already warm and you're just really exercising it and getting it ready. So, and here's the other thing. When your technique is in place, when you are doing the technique that's beneficial to your voice, you're not going to blow it out, because that technique is going to be in line, so that warming is actually effective for you. If you are someone who battles vocal fatigue, if you wear out easily from any kind of use of your voice, and you're someone who you are trying to save it before you know you're going to be using your voice, then I want to let you know that you might be a perfect candidate for a free case study that I'm running starting on May 24th. Back in 2018, in the summer, I ran a case study. It was my first time running a case study for vocal health, and it's not unlike the one I'm about to launch on May 24th. But this one only had 5 singers in it, and one of the singers joined because he wanted to be able to get through a 3-hour set of songs so that he could book wedding gigs. Because for wedding gigs, you have to be able to sing for about 3 hours. That's about the length of the party. And he kept finding that he had to give away some of his songs to other people or make them more dance songs so that he didn't have to sing, or audience participation, or maybe just band and not him, because he didn't have the endurance to get through 3 hours. He would find that, somewhere in the middle of hour 2, he was starting to feel fatigued. And so he wanted to be able to power through that and couldn't figure out how to do it. So he signed up for my case study so he could learn my total vocal health system. Okay, so this case study had 5 sessions, and all the singers learned my total vocal health system in it, which included establishing a basis of some solid, good technique, no matter what type of singing that they would be doing. And this was my client, Miko. And he's primarily a pop and R&B kind of singer. And by just session 2 of 5, he had already unlocked a way to not only sing for hours on end without suffering any consequences to his voice, but he had also achieved the added benefit of being able to add songs to his repertoire that before he wasn't even able to touch. If you know him, ask him about this. He talks about it actually kind of a lot. But all of a sudden, this whole new library of songs were open to him just from learning the skills that also happened to take away his tendency to lose his voice. So that's the cool thing about it, is that those kinds of things go hand in hand. Not only do you get the ability to sing without losing your voice, but you also gain the ability to do things with your voice that you weren't able to do before, to sing things you weren't able to sing before. So it's kind of a there's two little bonuses in one that come with this. So because of that, he not only achieved his initial goal of being able to sing for 3 hours at once without feeling any kind of consequences whatsoever, but he also achieved my big goal for him, which is to win a world singing competition. And that happened just a few more months after that. He won this world singing competition. And after his win, something that we were working towards before his national win, one of the big goals that he set for himself was to record an album of his own music that he had written himself. And he did that. He was able to do that after he won the world competition. And one of the coolest pieces, for me anyway, that came out of that was that his record producer, studio engineer reached out to me privately. Like, he asked Miko, hey, can I talk to your teacher who helped you? And he reached out to me privately and said, I just want to thank you for the training that you gave Miko. It was so refreshing to work with a singer who was able to be in the studio for 8 hours and not feel any fatigue whatsoever. This kind of thing was not available to Miko before, which is why he joined that case study. He was like, not only is he ridiculously talented, which he is, but he was able to stay healthy and strong after singing for 8 hours at a time, several days in a row. He wasn't feeling fatigued from that. So I just want to thank you for your work with him that allowed him to do that. So I just wanted to share that with you to illustrate the point that, yeah, this is completely possible. This is a real thing. And I've been doing this with singers for 20 plus years. So if this is something that sounds foreign to you and you want to learn more about this, about how to do it, I strongly encourage you to apply to my case study. So the case study that I'm running, it starts on May 24th. It's going to run for 5 weeks. We will have a little bit of a kickoff call, and then we'll have a training session every week. And we will also have a masterclass every week. So you'll learn something, and then you'll have a few days, and then we'll have a class where we implement and we make sure that you're understanding it. You're also going to have questionnaires periodically that you'll have to fill out to answer questions about the experience, about your understanding of what's happening, comparing, your results from one week to the next. That's kind of what's going to happen in the whole thing. I'm going to be recording all of it, but it's not going to be something that you can sign up for and then not show up to and watch it later and whatever. We're not doing it like that. So you need to be able to be present for it. So when you apply, that's the reason I'm having an application, because I want to make sure I'm giving it to the people who need it the most, the people who have a noticeable, audible need for it, so that they can experience the results that they need. And the people that are willing to show up and do the work, be committed to it. And part of that, in exchange, you're giving me the permission to use your experience in my marketing in the future. So in your application, what you're going to be required to do, so save this link because you're going to want to do this part first. So what's going to happen when you apply? What you'll need to do first. There's a brief questionnaire for you, but it's going to ask you to upload a video. So you're going to want to make your video before you go to this link. So you want your video to be about 5 minutes or less, and talk about 3 different things. Number 1, why are you an excellent candidate for this case study? Why should I pick you? Why should I say, yes, you're in? Why do you need this? So that's number 1. Number 2, I want to hear your commitment level for doing the work, full out, on time. Let me know where you stand in terms of the commitment that's required. And then 3rd, I would love to hear a brief sample of your voice. What I want to hear, this is not like how talented you are. What I want to hear is, I want to hear the problem. I want to be able to hear the struggle that you're having in your voice, in your video. So sing something that's going to illustrate where you are struggling in your singing. If you may be someone that I'll be able to hear it when you speak. So that's part of the reason I want you to do a video, because I want to be able to hear you talk and sing so I can get an idea of your candidacy for the case study. And then, like I said, it starts on May 24th. So once I get your application and I review the whole thing, I will reach out and be like, hey, got your application. You're a good fit. Here's what I need from you moving forward. So that's the process of how to apply for it. Again, it starts May 24th and it runs for 5 weeks. So if you're interested in that, again, there's a link in the description and in the comments, or you can go to bit.ly/vocal health case study and apply for the case study, because I would love to have you in there. My goal is to help as many people as possible achieve total vocal health. So that's why I'm doing this. I want you to know, voice loss is not inevitable. There is the overriding myth in our industry is that voice loss is just something that you should expect to happen to you at some point in your career. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I have 20 years of experience, both on myself and with my clients, of showing that it's not required. It doesn't have to be that way. So I would love to share that with you. Again, the link is in the description as well as the comments, or bit.ly/vocal health case study. If you want to be part of it, you want to learn how to have total vocal health, so that you can sing anything you want. So you can add songs to your library like Miko did, and so that you can never worry about whether or not you're going to have a voice when you have to perform, when you wake up the next day after you perform. So I'd love to have you in that with me. Have a fantastic rest of your day and week, and I will see you. Thanks so much.